As much as I like biblical symbolism as Death rides a pale horse, I have to say, having, I think 5 minutes of Arya just walking slow-mo to a horse wasn't necessary, especially for everything that happened within this episode. I know what they were going for with Arya walking up to the horse. They're basically saying Arya is going to be the one to kill Dany. Fine, I'll talk about it in a second, but I just don't think it was necessary to have a full-on slow-mo her walking towards a horse. I'm just like, no. But okay, I am back once again to do a discussion video on Game of Thrones. Now, a lot has happened since Episode 3, Battle for Winterfell. The community has pretty much spiraled into a consensus that Game of Thrones has become utter trash. Now, personally, I do like Episode 3. There is problems with it, I agree. I personally like Episode 3, though. However, Episode 4 and onward it's gotten pretty bad. It's really gotten bad, and this right here, this episode, I've had enough. I gotta talk about what just happened, because I can't defend this. I got kind of angry while watching this, episode, and so I just want to kind of vent. And hopefully many of you would probably want to vent as well in the comments below. So anyways, okay, to get right into it, Dany. She is the major topic of discussion for this episode, because Dany, she's pretty much frontline center of what the whole theme of this episode was about. She had an important decision to make. Does she try to somehow make peace and save innocent lives to take down a tyrant? Or will she burn them all to the ground, become like what her ancestors were before her, the Mad King, etc., and just show that she's not fit for the throne? Will she become the very thing that she was meant to get rid of? For instance, a tyrant. She wanted to get rid of tyrants, but now she has become a tyrant herself, burning innocent lives like nothing. So, that is what the episode's theme is about. Obviously, we know what happened. Dany burnt everyone. The entirety of King's Landing is legitimately on fire. It's literally nothing but ash at this point. And it's savage. Don't get me wrong, it's pretty savage. And I think some fans that have been rooting for that darker side of Dany will probably enjoy that. And now, I want to kind of get into the main thing I see some complaining about when it comes to Dany in general. Is that Dany making the decision to go mad, like to just burn everyone, it goes against her character. Honestly, I disagree. I do agree, however, that her coming to the decision to burn all of King's Landing down was a little bit rushed. That was definitely rushed. Like, her character development, let's say she had some tidbits here and there building up to that, like, I could believe it, but it's kind of like they cut out a major chunk of her character just to get her to that point. Like, I could believe it, that she did it. Like, when I look at this episode and see what she did, her decision to burn down King's Landing, and literally just innocent civilians just being thrown into, the fire, I can believe it. Even after watching this episode, I can believe that decision from her character. However, like I said, it was definitely rushed. There should have been more build-up for that, more conflict with her character really struggling with this and all that. Just more of her advisors talking, which there has been advisors here and there talking to her, like Tyrion talking to her about that. But it hasn't been, major focus. It hasn't been the main focus of Dany at all. It's mainly just been about, let's say, the undead, which was the Night King, and then Cersei. It really hasn't been about her at all. And after seeing what she has done within this episode, she's basically a lot worse than Cersei. She's definitely killed a lot more people than Cersei ever has, probably. But that's not the point here. Basically, Dany's character, if you think that what this episode did goes against her character, then obviously you haven't been paying attention to the build-up with her character since the very beginning. Yes, she's shown sides of compassion, compassion to be able to, help others, help children, help people. She's shown this. I'm not going to disagree with that. That has been a thing to her character as well. However, once again, what was stated even in this episode, she is like a coin that's yet to land, and we don't know what side she landed on. And that's been like a toss-up for a long time now. She has sides of her that are really good. She has sides of her that's really bad. She has an in-between side. You just don't really know. You never really know what you're going to get with Dany at any given time. And that's kind of the point here, is that Dany has been built up for this, for something like this time. This was a pinnacle for her character, and she made that decision that basically say, I'm just like every Targaryen before me. I am a monster that will just burn everyone down to get what I want. And that's pretty much it. So, I'm fine with Dany's character. Dany doing what she did, I'm fine with. Like I said, I just wish there was more time given to it for that can be done. Now, let's talk about my biggest complaint with this episode, and that is Jaime's entire character arc. What was the point? Like, oh, okay, hear me out. Jaime as a character, dying like he did with his sister, in some ways makes sense, okay? I mean, if we go back to the beginning and all that, what we do for love, what we do for family, okay, that's been like a message for a while now, fine. But however, Jaime has went through a hell of a lot of development since then, okay? Like, if this was Jaime from Season 1, even up to Season 6, I could believe it, him making the decision he did within this episode. But if we're looking at the events that happened, like, last season and the episodes prior to this, before the ending of last week's episode, when he left, I would say that he would never have made this decision. It doesn't make sense for him to go back to Cersei, especially to try to save her, or even if he wants to try to save her, it doesn't make sense for him to just die with her, okay? That's what doesn't make sense to me. Because, see, even if I could believe Jaime wanting to save Cersei, because at the end of the day, he still loves the person he loves, it doesn't make sense for him to die with her. It would have made better sense if he had to be there and had to die, he would die trying to kill Cersei. Like, he would be the one to end the Lannister bloodline. He'd be the one to end his unborn child and also be the one to end Cersei, to put an end to both of it. Like, just end it all. And because that's where all the problems really started with, was their characters. So, if the ceiling would have came crumbling down and he stabbed her and they, you know, the rubble just crashed on top of them, that would have made a little bit of a better scene. But having it to where he goes back just to die with her makes no sense whatsoever to me. He was pretty much wanting to just go and die for her. And I'm like, no, that goes against everything that has been stated with his character since the last season. So, not a fan of that one at all. That literally made Jaime's entire character arc pointless. There was no reason to spend so much time on his character if he ended up like he did in this episode. Also, don't even get me started with Mr. Pirate Boy that just all over Cersei. Oh, that man wanting to fight Jaime legit does not make sense to me in this episode. Hear me out. The man, yes, he wanted Cersei. He fought Cersei, had his child. Fine. However, if we go back to the last episode, Tyrion point blank yells out, "Think of your child," right next to the man. And obviously, with how loud he's being for Cersei to hear him, and that means he would be able to hear. And so him not to put A and B together and like, wait a minute, she just told me that I have a child. Somehow Tyrion knows she has a child. Something not adding up here. It's not adding up at all. Especially since Tyrion's been on enemy lines for a very long time now. So there's just things that just don't mix well. And so him not coming to the conclusion that it wasn't his child? What? But even then, okay? Let's just to say he did assume, or didn't assume, what regardless, he is not a type of person, I think, that would go out of his way to try to kill Jaime to then go to Cersei and try to save her or whatever, or like deliver Jaime's head to Cersei. It just doesn't fit with him, especially even though how poorly done his character is, it just doesn't make sense. He's literally been shown to be a cutthroat since his character introduction in Game of Thrones, and having him land there at a perfect time where Jaime's arriving, I'm just gonna overlook that for now, but him arriving there at a perfect time where Jaime has to get inside, then to fight Jaime, doesn't make sense, because he's someone that is all about survival. He's someone that, you know, took the Iron Islands, okay, by being a cutthroat to his family. So having it to where he he just straight up wants to fight Jaime and get back to Cersei? No. He knew the city was done, and how his character is, he would just get up and try to get away. He would go back to the Iron Islands, and then his family would kill him. His last surviving family member would kill him, or Dany would be there to kill him. That was one of the other things that could have happened. So having his character die like that in this episode, and also having him do the death blow to Jaime, once again, doesn't make sense either. Because if Jaime was going to get crushed to death, it didn't make sense to have him damaged in the first place because he was going to die regardless. So I just think they wanted to have shock value. It was legitimately just shock value. Just to have these certain characters die within this episode. Now, another thing too, Arya. Arya, there was a lot of focusing on Arya in this episode. And there was so much plot armor for Arya. Like, oh my god, the plot armor for her. Like, as much as I can overlook Arya taking down the Night King, fine. I can overlook that. I know there's problems with it, but I'm still kind of fine with the episode. I, however, cannot excuse the amount of plot armor she received within this episode, especially where pretty much everybody in the entire town died. But she somehow survives, and she just wakes up covered in ash. She keeps walking, everything fine. I'm just like, and then you manage to magically find a horse to get you out. Like, no. So I just think, at the end of the day, seeing how some of these scenes were done, it was really not good. Like, they did a good job with the fighting to the CGI. I mean, the look of terror on characters and getting the emotion out that people are dying pointlessly. There's no reason for this, and Dany's just lost her mind. They did a good job with that. I will give props where props is due. But in terms of where they kind of focused at within this episode, it could have been a lot better. I just don't think Arya deserved as much time as she had within this episode. It would have been better if the little girl would have been the POV, seeing her run around and then just die like she did at the end of the episode. I think that would have been better. Yes, they probably wanted a face that we could, get emotional with, a character that we know about that we're scared that might die. They want us to feel for a character like and worry. But at the same time, I think it would have been better from a character actually legitimately dying, seeing from the eyes of a villager, like someone that's a part of this town, just dying like nothing. I don't know, that's just my personal preference there. Another thing too, the Master of Whispers, Varys. Oh, I am so upset with how he died. I'm so upset. Like, it makes sense why he died, fine. But Tyrion turning him in, and then, 10 minutes later, committing treason against Dany by saving his brother. Really? You just turned in your friend that saved you, okay? Saved your life. Yes, you want to save Jaime because he saved you once, but he also did too. Varys also saved you. He's the reason why you managed to even get out as well. So you turning around and basically killing him, and then turning around and committing treason against Dany, you're being a hypocrite. You're straight up being a hypocrite. You're doing the exact same thing that you got your friend killed for. Now, Peter Dinklage, he's a really great actor, and I think he nailed the scene. He did a good job with Tyrion within this episode. Actually, majority of the actors, they did a really good job with this episode. Acting-wise, it was spot on. Even any character, like Jaime, Cersei, Dany, all their acting was really good. The emotions on their face, I will give it to them. But at the same time, if I'm talking about just the writing, Tyrion did what he did, and turning around doing what he did for his brother, no. Just why? Just why? Once again, it was just meant to be a pointless death. That's what it was. Shock value. That's it. So at the end of the day, I think this is a bad episode. It's legit a bad episode. It really is. The only saving grace about this episode is Davos. Davos being Davos. The man survived this long, and he's just, this man's sticking to his character, what he's been established as since the very beginning, smuggling people and stuff. So seeing him be fine and kind of stay the same as a character, you know what? I think he's the only character to really make it out alive from Game of Thrones and stay himself. But okay, that's pretty much about it. That's my overall thoughts on this episode. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy my content, please subscribe. If you like this video, please leave a like. And if you want to get notified for whenever I upload a video, please click the bell icon down below. And with that, Chibi out.